Pan-Africanism is a powerful idea. It is the belief that people of African descent are connected. They share a common history and a common future. This idea emerged in response to terrible injustices. Slavery, colonialism, and racism created suffering for millions. Pan-Africanism offered a vision of hope. It called for unity and solidarity among Africans everywhere. It aimed to uplift and empower people of African descent. This essay will explore the rise of Pan-Africanism. We will look at its early advocates. These pioneers dared to dream of a different world. We will also examine key events that shaped the movement. These events brought people together to fight for a common goal. Pan-Africanism's journey has been long and complex. It is a story of struggle, resilience, and hope. It is a story that continues to unfold today. The seeds of Pan-Africanism were sown in the 19th century, a period marked by significant transformations and upheavals across the African continent and beyond. This was a time of great change and upheaval, as societies grappled with the end of long-standing institutions and the emergence of new ideologies. The transatlantic slave trade, which had forcibly removed millions of Africans from their homeland, was coming to an end, signaling a new era of possibilities and challenges. Meanwhile, European powers were scrambling for control of Africa, carving up the continent in a frenzy of colonization that would have lasting impacts on its people and cultures. In this turbulent era, a few brave voices began to speak out for African unity and self-determination, planting the early seeds of what would become the Pan-African movement. One such voice was Martin Delany, a visionary who saw beyond the immediate struggles to a future where African people could stand united. Delany was a prominent abolitionist and writer whose works and speeches inspired many to consider the possibilities of a united African identity. He believed that black people could never achieve true equality in white-dominated societies, and that a separate, self-sustaining nation was essential for their dignity and progress. He called for black Americans to create their own nation, a place where they could govern themselves and build a future free from oppression. He argued that Africa was the natural homeland for black people, a place rich in resources and potential where they could thrive. Another early advocate was Alexander Crummell, whose intellectual and spiritual contributions were equally significant. Crummell was a priest and scholar, deeply committed to the idea that Africa held the key to the future for black people worldwide. He shared Delany's belief in Africa's potential, seeing the continent as a place where black people could build a new and glorious future, free from the shackles of colonialism and racism. He saw the continent as a place where black people could build a new and glorious future, a vision that would inspire many in the years to come. He emphasized the importance of education and self-reliance, believing that these were the cornerstones of a strong and independent African society. Edward Blyden was another key figure in early Pan-Africanism, whose life and work left an indelible mark on the movement. Blyden was a writer, educator, and diplomat whose efforts to promote African unity and pride were instrumental in shaping the early Pan-African discourse. He spent much of his life in Liberia, a nation founded by freed slaves, where he worked tirelessly to build a society based on African values and self-determination. He believed that Africa had a unique culture and identity, one that was distinct and valuable in its own right. He argued that this identity should be celebrated and preserved, as it was the foundation upon which a strong and united Africa could be built. These early pioneers laid the groundwork for the Pan-African movement, articulating a vision of unity and self-determination that would resonate through the ages. They articulated a vision of African unity and self-determination, a dream that would inspire countless others to join the cause. Their ideas would inspire generations to come, laying the foundation for a movement that continues to strive for a united and empowered Africa. At the turn of the 20th century, Pan-Africanism gained significant momentum, becoming a powerful force for change and unity among people of African descent across the globe. This was due in large part to the tireless work and visionary leadership of two towering figures, Webb Du Bois and Marcus Garvey, whose efforts laid the foundation for future movements. Webb Du Bois was a sociologist, historian, and activist, whose scholarly work and activism were instrumental in shaping the intellectual underpinnings of Pan-Africanism. He's often called the father of modern Pan-Africanism, a title that reflects his profound influence on the movement. Du Bois believed that black people around the world faced common problems, rooted in systemic racism and colonial oppression. He argued passionately that they needed to unite to address these problems, advocating for solidarity and collective action. To this end, he organized a series of Pan-African congresses, which served as crucial platforms for discussion and strategy. These congresses brought together intellectuals and activists from Africa, the Caribbean, and the United States, fostering a sense of global unity and purpose. Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican-born activist and entrepreneur, was another pivotal figure in the Pan-African movement. He's best known for his Back to Africa movement, which sought to inspire black people to return to their ancestral homeland. Garvey believed that black people would never achieve true equality in white-dominated societies, and that self-determination was essential. He urged black people to return to Africa and build their own nation, free from the constraints of colonial rule and racial discrimination. To promote his ideas, Garvey founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, which became a powerful vehicle for his vision of black empowerment and unity. Despite their shared goals, Du Bois and Garvey had different approaches to Pan-Africanism, reflecting their unique perspectives and experiences. Du Bois emphasized intellectual and political engagement, believing that education and political advocacy were key to achieving equality. Garvey, on the other hand, focused on economic self-sufficiency and racial pride, encouraging black people to take control of their economic destinies. However, both men shared a deep commitment to African liberation, and their legacies continue to inspire movements for justice and equality today. The Pan-African Congresses were a series of meetings held between 1900 and 1945. They played a crucial role in shaping the Pan-African movement. The Congresses brought together people from across the African diaspora. They provided a forum for discussing common concerns and developing strategies for liberation. The first Pan-African Congress was held in London in 1900. It was organized by Henry Sylvester Williams, a Trinidadian lawyer. The Congress called for an end to colonial rule in Africa. It also demanded equal rights for black people in colonial societies. Subsequent congresses were held in Paris, Brussels, Lisbon, and New York City. These congresses expanded on the themes of the first Congress. They discussed issues such as education, economic development, and political representation. The Pan-African Congresses helped to raise awareness of the plight of Africans under colonial rule. They also fostered a sense of solidarity among people of African descent. The Congresses laid the groundwork for the anti-colonial struggles that would erupt after World War II. Section 5. A Shift in Tide. The 1945 Manchester Congress. The 1945 Manchester Congress was a watershed moment in the Pan-African movement. It was a pivotal event that brought together key figures from across the African diaspora and the continent itself. This Congress was not just another meeting, it was a declaration of intent and a call to action. It marked a significant shift in leadership from the African diaspora to Africans themselves. For the first time, Africans were taking the reins, asserting their right to self-determination and leadership in the fight against colonialism. The Congress was held in Manchester, England, just months after the end of World War II. The timing was crucial, as the world was reeling from the war's devastation, and the call for freedom and independence resonated more strongly than ever. Kwame Nkrumah, the future president of Ghana, played a key role in organizing the Congress. His vision and leadership were instrumental in bringing together diverse voices and uniting them under a common cause. Nkrumah and other African leaders were determined to take control of their own destiny. They were resolute in their belief that Africans should lead the charge for their own liberation. They were no longer content with simply demanding an end to colonial rule. They wanted to actively shape their future, to build nations that reflected their values, cultures, and aspirations. They wanted to create a united and independent Africa. This vision of unity was not just about political independence, but also about economic and social cohesion. The Manchester Congress called for the immediate end of colonialism in Africa. This was a bold and uncompromising stance, reflecting the urgency and determination of the leaders present. It also called for the creation of a United States of Africa. This idea was revolutionary, envisioning a continent where borders were less significant than the shared goals of freedom and prosperity. The Congress adopted a more radical tone than previous Congresses. The speeches and resolutions were filled with a sense of urgency and a call for immediate action. It reflected the growing frustration of Africans with colonial rule. The people were tired of waiting and were ready to take bold steps towards their liberation. The 1945 Manchester Congress marked a turning point in the Pan-African movement. It was a moment when the call for freedom became a roar that could not be ignored. It signaled the beginning of the end of European colonialism in Africa. The momentum generated by this Congress would fuel the decolonization movements that swept across the continent in the following decades. Section 6, World Wars and Awakening Seeds of Independence. The fight for freedom was far from over. Across continents, people were rising up, demanding their rights and asserting their identities. It was a time of great turmoil, but also of immense hope. Leaders emerged with a vision that transcended borders and cultures. Their dreams of a better world inspired millions. They spoke of unity, peace, and a future where every individual could thrive. The path to unity was not easy, and it required immense sacrifice and unwavering determination. But step by step, the world moved closer to a shared understanding. Together, we began to see the possibility of a united future.